Hello, and thank you for listening. My name is Luke Mardigian. You are listening to Be Insured, where we talk about business, leadership, and insurance. That way, on your worst day, when you need it the most, you will be insured. Many of you know that Eric, my co-host, and I run a Farm Bureau Insurance of Michigan insurance agency. And what a lot of people don't know is this is actually our 100th year anniversary. We were founded in 1919. And when we were founded, our primary goal is to promote and represent the interest of farmers in the state of Michigan. It started on campus at Michigan State University. And while our service offerings have expanded to include all types of industries, because we do all types of businesses and personal lines, we're very proud of our agricultural roots. It's where we came from. All of our board members are farmers, which is why I'm very excited to be chatting with today's guest, Emily Crambell, who is the Education and Outreach Manager of AgroLiquid's IQ Hub. If you haven't been out to visit the IQ Hub, it's a phenomenal education center with all kinds of interactive exhibits that help teach the community where our food comes from. I've been out there several times, including our local Kiwanis group meets there. So it's a great facility. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you for having me. This is a really cool place.
I'd love to hear how teaching in the classroom ends up finding, or a teacher that's teaching in the classroom ends up finding her way into a leadership role inside of a nonprofit.
So I used to teach agri-science and natural resources at Corunna. I taught middle school and high school for 11 years. And then we decided to start a family. And so I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And then I thought, I need a new challenge. Plus, my husband thought we should get rid of the horses.
Yeah,
that's not a good idea. So actually, I met a gentleman through teaching, and he was the advisor and teacher at Alma High School. When he retired, he started working at AgroLiquid, and they started the IQ Hub, the nonprofit museum. Wow. And so they were looking to expand. They needed another teacher. And so he actually kind of put a bug in my ear and told me I should apply. And I thought, this is an awesome place, because I actually got to tour it 6 years prior when I was teaching at Corunna. And I said, hey, this is a cool spot. If teaching doesn't pan out, I want to be here. And it's just weird that it ended up
being a
later.
Good fit.
Yeah.
It is super cool there.
I love it. My kids who go to school just 10 or 15 minutes south of the IQ Hub did a visit there, and they came home and they're like, Dad, I learned how to farm. And my oldest is like, I want to be a farmer. And he's some video game farm simulator or something that he started downloading, all because he went to the AgroLiquid IQ Hub.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny.
Because we don't always get to hear those stories of what the kids say when they come home. But that's our goal, is to try to impact these kids that normally wouldn't see agriculture in this light. There's so much technology. There's so many options for careers, and kids don't even realize what's out there.
Because unfortunately, in our society, it's almost forgotten. I feel like it's not taught.
It's all about getting a 4-year degree and then hoping that you get a job that can pay for your student loans. And that doesn't have to be the option. You can still get a 4-year degree in something agricultural, but you can come out and you can not only make some good money, but make a huge impact on the world by new technology and innovative solutions and all that type of stuff. So how was the idea for the IQ Hub born? What was AgroLiquid's goal for the nonprofit?
So Troy Bancroft and his wife Jill Bancroft, their family is who owns AgroLiquid and got this whole thing, I guess, started. They have 3 sons, and they all are involved in agriculture and, saw the value in it. But not everybody is as fortunate as their family to have that background and also have the opportunity to start something like this. So the IQ Hub was originally going to be a space where they were going to display their refurbished antique tractors.
Oh, okay.
And they thought we can, kind of touch or incorporate or educate more people if we do something different with the space.
Well, the antique tractor world is huge. I have one client who has an entire pole barn of like 20 or 30 tractors that are from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's an incredible world. I don't know if I'd want to keep those things up, but I guess if it's your hobby, then...
Right, and if they invite you in and that's your hobby, that's great. But they also said we could teach more people and impact more people, because there's such a disconnect between agriculture and, pretty much anyone in general.
Well, your food just shows up on your table, doesn't it?
Well,
it's like made at a factory and put into a box and a package, and then you put it in the microwave and you eat it, right?
And that's the hard part too, is some people with social media and all these different fear-based marketing, people don't understand the whole process and how important it is and how the farmers care for the land, care for the animals, because if they didn't, nothing would work. And sometimes people think farmers are bad. And so it's really important to teach people, no, they're good. This is an opportunity for you, maybe for a career, or at least to understand and appreciate all that goes into our food market.
No, I know when I go in and get some fresh blueberries at our grocery store, I always think of all my farmers who work their tails off to pick those blueberries, make sure that they grew this year, freeze them, all that stuff. I mean, it's really something else. So why was the IQ Hub, why was that vision of sharing agricultural and connecting kind of the consumer with the actual farmer, why was that so important for AgroLiquid?
I think their big thing is they want to give back. And so they've been fortunate enough. They started with Troy and his father-in-law back in the 60s, experimenting the phrases blenders and buckets. They just wanted to help their plants grow better. And then they got, to a product where it would work. It grew. In the 80s, they became a company, and they've been so fortunate and lucky and love agriculture that they want to be able to pass that on, pay it forward, so people can kind of see. And so actually the IQ Hub is separate from AgroLiquid. We are the nonprofit. We rent the space from AgroLiquid. And so we really wanted that message to be important and kind of a separate entity so people can see that they can come to our place. It's free. There's no admission. We'll help pay for the bus drivers, the fuel. We're trying to just get the word out that agriculture is important and we need to take care of our planet.
Well, with local school districts cutting so many services over the past 10 years, especially since the 2008 kind of fallout with the market and the economy, it's incredible that there's an organization out there that's saying, hey, we want kids to learn so bad that we'll pay for the bus driver's time, we'll pay for the gas. I mean, that to me, that's just really rare.
Above and beyond.
I don't know anybody who does that.
And Troy and Jill and AgroLiquid are big sponsors, obviously, because they got it started and they let us rent the space and they're super cool.
Right.
But we also have a bunch of other sponsors too. So
hey, we keep talking about AgroLiquid. Can you talk about, do you know much about that company that you could maybe explain to our listeners how big AgroLiquid is and why it's so important?
Yeah. So AgroLiquid, like I said, started in the 60s with them just playing around, experimenting, trying to get their plants to grow better. And in the 80s, they became a company, and it used to be called Agriculture Liquid Fertilizers, which is such a big term.
That's meaty.
But they didn't want to scare people off because you don't have to be a farmer to use the product.
Right.
So people all over the United States, even in Canada, Mexico, Belize, they're talking to people in Ukraine and New Zealand. So, we're all over the place and people don't realize.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
We make our products all over the United States to decrease our carbon footprint. So if you live in California and you want to get something for your fruit trees, or maybe for if you're trying to keep a lawn up out there,
good luck.
You can get it from Stockton, California. So you don't have to have stuff shipped all the way from Michigan. Our headquarters is in Michigan, but we have places all over the United States. And so it is big. And I did not realize how large it was, even when I went back and toured the facility 6 years ago, when I made that comment about, hey, I want to work here.
Yeah.
But it is awesome. And being a family-owned company, the fact that they can spread and get so large and help others, our products are good for the environment. So you don't have to worry about, being, I guess, a negative impact, because people always think that you're spraying or you're applying stuff.
We have all the pesticides and everything.
Yeah, so we call it plant nutrition. You only apply where your soil is lacking, or your plants are lacking. So you don't
spot treatment kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Emily, I'm interested in knowing more about your space that you're renting from AgroLiquid, and then I just want to know how you took educating people about agricultural fun and interactive. Like, that's a huge feat.
Yeah. So I think from the teacher standpoint, something made me want to become a teacher. So whether I'm at AgroLiquid or in the classroom, at Corona, I had somebody who inspired me. And so I think that if you have a certain presentation and a certain demeanor, you can make it fun. People don't care what you're talking about. They're going to be excited. So what got me into teaching was actually an English teacher, but now I'm teaching science. But they just made it fun. And so that's what we want to do, is when kids come, we have hands-on, we have question answer, we tell stories. They're going to take crafts home, or they have a goodie bag, something so they can connect all the pieces of the puzzle. So whether it's pre-K or college kids, obviously I have to change my presentation up a little bit, but the fact that I love what I do and I show my passion makes others go, hey, maybe this could be cool.
Yeah.
And really all the people that work at our building or our facility, only 10% have an agriculture background, like a degree or some point, which is pretty crazy that you don't have to come from that to work in agriculture. We're the second leading industry in Michigan. And so we want people to know that, hey, take your passion, apply it to this. You can pretty much always find a job.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree with that. What big picture impact do you think this has on the community, having the IQ Hub available?
I think that because the Bancrofts are a family-owned business and have worked so hard for what they believe in with AgroLiquid, they really do want to give back. So people come to our space all the time. So I don't know if you guys have ag backgrounds or not, but you might have been in our building.
No, I'm a city slicker.
See, you can rent our space. So we've had weddings, we've had funerals, we've even had proms, we've had baby showers, all sorts of things. And that brings the community together.
Isn't there a hotel there?
There is 5 hotel rooms, yes. And so most of our people who work for our company that are coming from like California or, I mean, imagine someone coming from the Ukraine.
Right.
Try to explain to them how to go to Lansing, like just let them stay.
Yeah.
So we have 5 hotel rooms. And actually a family, I was told their house burnt down in St. John's and the Bancrofts let them stay in the hotel rooms for free while they were building their house to get back on their feet. So it is a big community place. People are welcome. People can walk in off the streets. So the IQ Hub's open to everyone.
That's awesome. Tell me about the talent pipeline you guys have. Do you guys have kids that are like expressively telling you, I'm so interested in agriculture, or I want to do this, I want to be like Luke was saying about his boy coming home and saying, I'm going to be a farmer when I grow up. Do you follow through with that? Or do you take their names down and try to help them achieve that dream?
It depends kind of on the age. So for example, we had a summer camp this summer and I was told that a boy was so excited to come to our summer camp that he slept in his John Deere t-shirt and his overalls for like
That's
the night
classic.
before. This is what I'm wearing tomorrow. And then I saw him later. We just had an aviation event for a guest exhibit and he showed up. I was here last time. Remember we made the rockets? And I'm like, you were the kid with the overalls. I do remember. So I have made those connections. But then older students who have come in who have like no interest whatsoever and they feel like this is going to be a stupid field trip. But it ends up being a great field trip. We have followed through with them, and some kids have actually come back. We have internships. So it just depends on who you are, what age level you're at, and I'm always curious, and I usually remember faces before I remember names. So
That's awesome. I know it had a big impact on my kids, so I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there who have had their lives directly impacted by IQ Hub. You've talked about antique tractors and now you're talking about rockets. How do you connect the old with the new in terms of educating people on agriculture?
So I had a meeting with the guy in charge of Impressions 5, and he told me something that really stuck in my brain. He said, you got to make a museum fresh. About every 5 to 7 years, we at Impressions 5 swap out exhibits. And so at AgroLiquid, at the IQ Hub, we don't really want to swap out all our exhibits because it's important to tell the story so kids can know about the soil, the water, plants growing, their food. So we can't really swap out everything like they do in Impressions 5, but we came up with the idea of rotational exhibits. And so this is our 3rd rotational exhibit we just had. We did a military themed one first. We did muscles, music, and more, which is like muscle cars, motorcycles, pretty much music, anything.
Right.
It was a collaboration of a lot of things. And then this one we just had was aviation. So that was the event I was talking about. And so at each different installment or each different guest exhibit, we try to do something fun, whether it's like a kickoff event or like a grand finale. And so we just had kind of our grand finale. We called it Aviation Exploration Day. We had rockets, planes, hot air balloons, paragliders, those kind of things. So it just depends on what we're portraying.
To me, that kind of points to where the agricultural industry is heading, because I know that, like drones and, there's just a bunch of innovation. Where do you think the agricultural industry is headed today?
So that is hard because if I knew the future, a lot of things would change in my world, let me tell you that. But it has had a hard time in the agriculture industry lately. Well, you're talking about the dairy industry having a hard time, or talking about not everybody got all their crops planted. So this year was really tough, I think, for farmers. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next year when all the crops weren't planted and all the things, fertilizer industry, all that kind of changes a little when you deal with weather and Mother Nature and all those factors. So I would say that agriculture being so important and everybody needing it, obviously, to eat, we have to be positive. We have to be optimistic. And so I think it is going in a good place. For example, like St. John's is going to be big in the dairy industry with all the activity going on there.
Yep.
So
and there's the whole milk processing plant that they're putting in. It's going to have, I don't know, a whole bunch of businesses and employ 500 people, and we don't have enough housing for it. It's really interesting.
let's talk about that another day.
Yeah, exactly. Emily, thank you so much for your time today. It's always good to hear about the amazing things that are happening in our community. Where can people connect with you?
So we are on Facebook, and so you can just search IQ Hub. Or we have a website, so iqhubag.org. You can call me, 227-3847. So there's lots of ways to get a hold of us. Some people just drive by and see the cool building and stop in.
I recommend that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like a spaceship in the middle of a cornfield kind of
Everyone's like,
concept.
where did this come from?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. You walk in, there's these big glass windows everywhere, and there's a choo-choo train going around like 40 feet off the ground. It's crazy. It's awesome.
As always, everybody stay in touch with us at the Mardigian Agency. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Eric Steven Gestring, and follow me at Eric Farm Bureau on Instagram as well.
That's right. Make sure you check out AgroLiquid. If you know a teacher or if you live in a community, you need to connect your school districts with AgroLiquid and IQ Hub. Free field trips. You can't beat it. Thanks, everyone, for listening to Be Insured, and we'll see you next time.